Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our audience joining us across the world. In celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm honored to be joined by two distinguished guests to have a conversation around the strength, diversity, and contributions of Latin women all across the world. Our upcoming discussion will focus on the contributions of Latin women in both professional and personal spheres. Our discussion will explore the unique strengths, challenges, and contributions of Latin women across various fields, particularly in the fields of data science, technology, and business. This is a celebration of diversity, of resilience, and of the rich cultural heritage of the Hispanic and Latinx community. Our discussion will touch on several themes, from the impact of Latin women in leadership to navigating the intersection of identity and careers, and to promoting and fostering diverse cultures. With that said, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Cesar Solomon, Executive Vice President within Teleperformance's Banking and Financial Services Division. And I'm also privileged to serve as the chair to our Latinx ERG, where we focus on promoting the interests of our Latin community across the world. I'd love to introduce you to our distinguished guest today, so I'll turn it over to Laura. Laura, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your personal story, and anything that you're really passionate about.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Cesar, for the invite. It's a privilege to be here to have this platform. And thank you, everyone, for watching this. Very important that you watch us and you share our story. I'm happy to connect with you. My name is Laura Gabriziak. I'm a senior manager at an S&P 500 payments industry company. My background is in tech. So I guess I'm a Latina in tech. Based in Miami, I've had now 15 years in professional experience working in the payments industry, but also with startups in the academia. And I'm passionate for all data solutions, very geeky. And on my professional time, I'm also the co-founder of Our Ladies Miami, is an organization for inclusive data science spaces. We have the chapter in Miami. We founded around 5 years ago. We have around almost 1,000 members. So if you're inclined to learn about analytics and data, and you're a woman, but you're also interested in learning what we do, reach out.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate it. And thank you again for joining us. We're super excited to have you here today. All right. So I'll turn over to Angelica. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Cesar. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I am Angelica Vergel. I'm a Colombian, but I'm based in Mexico City now. I am the VP of Pre-Sales and Transformation for all the North and Central America region, that is Mexico, Guatemala, and El Salvador. A little bit of my background, it comes from technology companies where I have been working on the consultative environment, since looking for different implementations and how we take advantage of the technology in each one of our customers and clients. I'm very excited to talk about how we take advantage of the technology, but also how it helps us to make our life easier. That I think what is important, or is something that I always trying to, the approach that I want and I try to follow. So I'm very excited to be here today. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, so let's jump right on in. So as I think about our first, topic, our first question here, I'd love to pose the question to the both of you. Laura, I'll start with you. So how has your Latin heritage influenced your journey as both a professional and as a leader? Are there any particular cultural traditions or values that you carry with you with your work and your leadership style?
Absolutely. But thank you for that question. It's a great question because when we speak about heritage, it's we have to be careful not to fall into stereotypes. Being a Latina in tech, being a woman in tech does bring a lot of nuances for the positive. So I'm based in Miami, but I work for a global company. One of the things that we do have is that connection and the communication that has helped a lot. I always find myself, or not always, very often, I will find myself in rooms where I'm the only Latina, sometimes the only woman. So in terms of influencing the style, I always try to be a bridge to my culture, because you're not in that moment. You're not only the senior manager of an MLOps team, there you're doing, or a tech team performing a task. You're also an ambassador to your culture, to your peers. So you're always representing in the tech field, what especially right now, also another topic, there are a lot of spaces where it's not only about the Latin heritage, but the representation of women in the tech space, where we need to make sure that we support each other, that we're open for questions, that we're open for communication, and that we open a door. We're bridges, right? That we open a door to our world, so that we diverge from those stereotypes. So we offer that our world, which is a beautiful heritage, such a rich culture, to the rest of the world for the best.
I love that. And representation matters so much, and who has a seat at the table matters so much, because for many reasons, including the fact that it drives diversity of thought. And that diversity of thought will allow creativity to come out, true solutions to come out, in a way that is fully representative. So thank you so much, Laura, for that
Cesar,
answer. I
if I
love
might
that.
add something, because I love
Yes.
your point on that, and again, it's a conversation. This is a very specific perspective from the tech industry and the data science industry. So we talk about into and with ChatGPT and LLMs and so on, we have to be very careful how we develop all those algorithms and that data. So there's a lot of bias, there's a lot of ethical algorithms. As a representative from a minority group in the tech industry, it's primal that we also provide that perspective for the sake of the quality of the data products that you're developing. Meaning, if you have a data set that is not representative of the richness and the diversity in the demographics, because you have a very homogeneous development team, you're actually not contributing to the quality of your product, of your service. So not only in terms of the cultural perspective, but and of course the environment where we work, but in terms of quality of work and richness and performance, how well this model, how well this data product performs, it's an enhancement.
I love that. Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Laura. All right, Angelica, I'll turn it over to you for the same question.
No, very interesting. I'm totally aligned with what Laura was saying. I think something that it's very characteristic from Latinos is the community, right? And community has always played a significant role in my professional life, because growing up in a culture that celebrates connection, I always try to prioritize building strong relationships in my professional environment, promoting teamwork, creating a sense of belonging. And also I think it's important as well, the resilience and adaptability, recognizing the challenges that can be transformative and opportunities for growth. So I think that the community perspective is something that really is a very characteristic from us, and it's something that is helpful when you are working on different teams, and in this case on the technology industry, when you are developing new solutions and you are working on projects, it's one of our strengths. And the second one that is very related to is the communication style. I try to be more warm, more approachable, encouraging like open dialogues, fostering the culture of transparency, that anyone can talk to, listen all the different opinions. And I think that it's something that has been a crucial building different teams and working on different projects that we have been able to achieve successful results. And it's part of our culture. So I think it's some of the strengths that has been very helpful in this journey so far. So I totally agree with what Laura already mentioned, and you as well, Cesar, but also we have some characteristics that make us different, that could be our strengths, in our professional careers.
I love the point that you were making, because being one of the co-founders of Our Ladies Miami, 7 years ago, I moved from Berlin, which was back then my home city, to Miami, a very rich, diverse Latin city. But within the tech industry, again, it was very scary starting from new, meeting new people. Through communities like Our Lady or meetups, tech meetups, I found to not only find grassroots movements of inclusion and diversity, but honestly just to meet people. And it really had, whenever you have that feeling of comunidad, that you can ask someone, you can get indirectly or directly mentorship. You get access to resources. Networks, comunidades are very valuable assets to have in your professional, in your personal life. So something that I'm very grateful about is not only the Cuban community, but also the tech community, the Brazilian community. I've met many communities. Through those communities, I've been able to enrich my professional, my personal life.
I love that. And Lara, you mentioned Our Ladies, which is then a perfect segue to my next question. So you're deeply involved in fostering gender diversity in tech through Our Ladies. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, and how has your experience as a Latin woman influenced your work in creating inclusive environments in either data science or STEM in general, where women are and Latin women in particular are generally underrepresented?
Yes. Thank you so much for that question. So we've looked a little bit into this. Again, this is a grassroots movement from data professionals, but it's not uncommon to be the only one in a room. And if we have the time, this is just a personal anecdote. Getting to Miami, I remember it was a very large company and they were having a conference and it was pretty much 50 men and 2 women. And there's always the jokes is not badly meant about the bathroom cues and whatever. But that day I met my other co-founder. And being in Miami, so like, this is a sign. We need to sit down and see why is it that there's only 2 women and 50 men. Fast forward a couple years after we had the meetups, and again, Our Ladies is just the Miami chapter is a network of different meetups. So anytime you go to a city, you have a community that you can connect with and meet new people. So it really opens doors, not only professionally, but personally. And there's several key moments in a woman's life in tech that define how hard it is to get in this environment. There's obviously before entering college, during college, but during college is the large dropout rate. Um, so you're not done once you get out of college and you successfully graduated, but getting actually into a profession that is in line to what you studied turns out that is more difficult than what you think. We've seen or studies have shown that there's a large dropout rate there as well. And within the first years getting into from junior to senior management to higher management, there's several hurdles that women in general, but Latin women, of course, as well, experience. And then there's other life events like creating a family and then going back into the workspace. So I think it's important that we identified which situations these are, and we provide the community and the support and the help, because everyone has its own journey, but there might be some similarities, especially under Latina women. You might have perhaps a larger family, who knows, right? Again, without falling into the stereotypes, but it's okay. And something that I've learned within the Our Ladies, it's okay to ask. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to take a leap year. If it's okay not to be at your best performance all the time. Because again, your professional career is a marathon. It's a pretty long marathon. And you have to be at your best possible performance, not the ultimate highest. So your question is how these communities help. What we've seen is this problem. there's these live events, but also whenever you're in a normal community, you might be the two women with the 50 men. You were talking about representation. It's really hard then to ask a question that you don't think is a dumb question. And here's another funny anecdote. We started the meetup, and the question was, should we make it open for everyone, or should we have more like a diverse, focused meetup only for women? And our main assumption or null hypothesis was if we do a open meetup, an open community for everyone, it's gonna be 99% men, and it's gonna be the 50 men and the two women. And the if we do a diversity focused meetup for only for women, the null hypothesis was it's gonna be 50-50. And I kid you not, on the first meetup, we had 50-50 representation, 50, and it was a women-only event, which is great. I really like it. But seeing it from the data perspective, you want to test different things. So we thought it was funny, and we had a great experience.
I love that. And you said something in your statement that really stuck out to me, and it was around giving yourself grace and giving yourself the space to say that it's okay. We're human, right? And at the end of the day, we, especially those that are highly ambitious and that have ingrained within them a strong work ethic, that you want to give it 1,000% every time. And certainly that gives you a competitive advantage if you come in and that's the mentality that you have. But it's okay also to understand the fact that we should get some rest. We should prioritize our mental health. We should prioritize our families as well. And the two things are not mutually exclusive. You can be a
Yeah.
successful professional and also a successful family person or a friend person or someone who prioritizes their health and mental health, both physically and mentally. So
I
that
totally
said,
agree with that, Cesar. Yes,
love it.
that's very important. And I think that that's something that is interesting of like when we have women in these kind of roles as well, is that we have this emotional intelligence that in some occasions tends to balance the discussion, for example, in a board, or when we need to take a decision, we try to balance it because we have a lot of emotional intelligence and empathy that can be very useful in this kind of situations. So totally agree with that. I think it is important, and I also feel that it's something that is resonating lately. So we are understanding the importance of having the right balance, the importance of having very good health habits in order to be a qualified and success professional as well. So we need to take into account all the aspects of our lives and not only the professional.
That's a great point. And you mentioned, emotional intelligence, and I think that's so important in a world where, especially the hype cycle of, AI, it's so important to not forget EI, right? And how do you
Mhm.
harmoniously balance the two things, so that you're able to provide high quality, engagement, whether that's as an organization, provide high quality service that's really focused on people, and marry that with the latest cutting edge technology. And the path to success in that front is a marriage of the two things. Having one without the other, I don't think is the full recipe and the full formula.
Exactly.
Awesome. So, Angelica, let me ask you a question. So, in your experience leading large scale transformation initiatives, what strategies and approaches have been the most effective in driving innovation and creating value, especially in high pressure and fast changing environments?
Yes, when I'm in my experience leading large scale transformation projects, some of the effective strategies that I'm always looking for are the first one is the open communication, encourage idea sharing, alignment, building collaborative teams, try to reduce and avoid silos. I think that is important to enhance the problem solving, but also implementing agile methodologies. Agile methodologies allows for adaptability through incremental project phases, empowering the teams, looking for ownership, but also creativity. So ownership and make the teams accountable of the project. I think that is something that is crucial. A focus on continuous improvement enables the teams to respond to challenge effectively. So something that we are looking is to try to understand what is the main goal, that in this case is the customer-centric approach. And that ensures how we, through creativity, technology, we identify innovations that align with the needs of our clients. So together, all those strategies like communication, teamwork, but also take advantage of different methodologies like agile methodologies, Lean Six Sigma approach, and taking the focus that in this case is the customer centric approach, that is the one we are always looking in each one of our projects, help us to have creativity results, like looking for different ways of thinking and try to manage those large scale projects where we have a lot of pressure. And the open communication, I think that is the key of all of that.
I love that. Laura, is there anything that you'd like to add to?
Yes, I love all those points. I think they're very relevant. User-centric design, or customer-centered design. It's not so new, but it's still so relevant in the industry, regardless where you see it in the tech industry or any hospitality, anywhere, right? The user-centric, because the needs, the pain points are changing constantly. We have a society that is constantly changing, that is partnered together with the diversity in the society. So there's a shift, there's a change. You want to make sure that your product or your service is reflecting that. What I wanted to add is the culture. So whenever we're speaking about open communication, teamwork, user-centric approaches, that all is orbiting around culture, if you ask me. I've seen a lot of amazing female leaders in tech. I was just thinking that I'm grateful because where we are right now is nowhere near what we used to be 20 years ago. And I really respect all the pioneers that have been trailblazing, this industry, because right now we've come very far. But it's still very engaging to see not only female leaders. You were speaking before about the family and about, we're humans. So having a female
Yes.
leader who is a mother that, maybe the husband is taking care of the children or they have different approaches. So you learn from that. You see that it's okay. The open communication, open door policy, or just grabbing a cafecito, that's okay. So I believe that's a part of the big of the corporate culture that we want to get to. Obviously, it's important to get the work. But again, I'm always focused on the quality of the work and not necessarily, it's or DEI is it's an extra or an enhancement. It's something that is crucial for a good quality outcome.
I absolutely love that. Angelica, anything you want to add there?
No, maybe something that is interesting now is that, or I would love to add, is that in some occasions it's not just the technology, is to understand how to apply the technology. And right now, for example, in a lot of opportunities, we are working together with our clients. All of them, they want to apply and implement artificial intelligence, and they really want it and they really need it. But at the end, it's not the technology; it's to really understand what are those use cases where the technology is going to add value, right? So that is part as well of. And I was thinking on your question, Cesar, that I think that is important as well in this kind of projects. It's not only the technology per se, is to understand what is the use case and how we are going to add value because of that, and be very clear on that goal and that objective. And I think that is something that will guide us on the right path, and at the end we will obtain the results we are expecting to have with our
Right.
clients. So I think it's important as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. So Laura, you mentioned something that I want to double click on a bit, and it was around, the viewpoint of seeing other female leaders trailblaze and lead the way. And so that really leads me to my next question, which is that Latin women are often seen as community builders. How important, from your perspective, has community and mentorship in particular been in your professional journey? And how do you pay that forward? Or how have you paid that forward? And also, are there any particular, women leaders in the world that have inspired or motivated you?
So thank you for that question. So I'll start saying is that I'm very thankful for the women trailblazing the field, but also for the men, because we get mentors. I've had mentors knowingly or unknowingly during my professional career. Some were women, some were men. So I think we should we always open diversity is both. At the end, it should be the merit and in your profile, the one showing your driving you in your career. Having said that, there are specific questions and specific things that perhaps a female leader might be best on. So it's about the diversity and me having a range of
Mhm.
different mentors, different ambassadors, different resources, people that I admire, that I work for, that I work with, or not even, right? It could be just a colleague from another industry that will give you some advice. So having said that, I want to mention, there's within Miami, there's Maria Durkee, there's Melissa from Emerge, there's a lot of women in tech in Miami. Our Lady started with one woman that is Brazilian, Gabriela de Queiroz.
Yeah.
She was in San Francisco and she probably felt like I did when I came to Miami. And she was a tech worker and felt alone. It started this community that right now is almost 80,000 women, if you think about that. I've had the great blessing of meeting her in person. She's a wonderful professional. There's a lot of amazing female leaders within the community of Our Ladies, but other communities like women in machine learning. There's women in tech. It's a little bit more broader, depending on what your needs are. And at the beginning, I was a little bit hesitant to raise my hand and ask for mentorship. You sometimes feel you're not, perhaps you don't deserve it, or you're scared of reaching that person, or you think that person is too high on a pedestal. They are, but it's okay. Just reach out and ask your question and connect. You were speaking about emotional intelligence. We were speaking about community. Um, what you have in common is connection of the pain point with the user, connection of within the community, connecting without wasting your time, of course, but strategic connections, strategic mentorships bring you a long way. Now, having said that, sometimes it's not only passing on the work and helping and contributing and becoming yourself a mentor, but in my experience, sometimes while you become a mentor or you think you're being mentored by the other person. Why? Again, you're in a professional relationship, you're asking questions, you're connecting, you're receiving feedback, or you're being asked someone or something that you perhaps learn you were not aware of. So that learning process, that's for me is mentorship, obviously connections, networking, getting feedback, and being open and exposed to new projects and new knowledge. So very, very important. Again, not only with it's okay to not be at the maximum performance, but at your best performance possible. It's okay to raise your hand and it's okay to reach out and it's okay to not know all the answers. You know what? Your mentor also doesn't have all the answers, but they will think about it. And you have a good source, a good connection and your network that you'll gain. So
I
be a mentor,
absolutely
get
love that.
mentors.
I love it.
Please.
Awesome. So
Yes.
I will, Angelica, sorry, go ahead.
No, I really love what you say, Laura. It really resonates with me because I have the two experience. The first one is my first role model was my first job was an IBM. It was an intern, and I remember Jeannie Rometty was the CEO, and I was like, wow, there is a woman that is the CEO of this giant technology company. So it was very inspiring to me, and it motivates me like, okay, you can do it. If she did it, maybe you can do it, and it open a door for us, right? But also I have been the opportunity to have a lot of different mentors in my career, and as you say, Laura, not only women but also men. And there is something that in particular one of my mentors told me that for me was like game changer. She was telling me like it's important to embrace your identity and also cultivate the self knowledge, because when you achieve that is when you recognize what are your strengths, and that you have the potential to do all the things that you want to achieve. So I think to have this type of person guiding us, uh, it's game changer, because it helped. They already had the experience. They already know what is the best approach for each one of our challenges. So I think that mentorship is crucial, and have always someone that motivates you to do your best. I think that it's a game changer on our professional careers.
I
Thank you for
absolutely.
bringing that topic. I'm sorry, because I'm very passionate about this topic. You mentioned identity and
Yes.
being yourself, being legit. So I've seen that is I in my personal experience, again in tech, to be honest, and this is highly personal, but while I was studying, I had that pressure. I studied in Germany, so I had that pressure of seeming like a tech, like a developer. I think there's still that pressure. What does it mean to be a
Mm.
data scientist? What does it mean to be a data engineer? If you get there, you said, I was dancing salsa yesterday. Would that be a bias or contribute to a bias? And not only because there are other leaders that do that really inspired me, um, but because sometimes that pressure you're doing it yourself and it's hindering you on
Yes.
either connecting with some people or just being more free in your work environment, and it's okay. We have sometimes the stereotypes that we want to abide by, and what does it mean to be a developer and whatnot. Only by being yourself and being authentic, um, you can contribute to that. It takes a little bit of experimentation, and you have to be a little
Yes.
bit vulnerable sometimes, especially if you're not in the diverse workspace. I understand that it's hard to get to a workspace that is very homogeneous and say, hey, I was dancing salsa yesterday, or something that might be authentic, or your hobby doesn't have to be something that is necessarily Hispanic, but just embracing that facet of your life and being vulnerable, that will bring you a long way. So that's in my experiences how it worked out. So I really highly recommend it.
I love that, Laura, and I'll say, I think as we were all growing up in our professional careers, both in our personal lives and our professional careers, we are not products of our environments, but you certainly look at your environment and you wonder, especially as you're in those early stages, if you have to follow the mode, right? And if you have to operate in a certain way and show up in a certain way. And over time, as you mature both personally and professionally, you realize that what makes you unique, what makes you special is being genuinely you. And so it's
Yes.
okay to show up the way that you show up. That doesn't detract. It doesn't make you better or worse. It makes you you. And I think that showing up to the world in that way and being comfortable in your own skin, which sometimes takes time to develop and to get to that point. But that is the differentiator. That is your value prop. That is what makes you uniquely you. And with that said, I,
Wow.
I do have our final question. And it's a
Mhm.
question that's near and dear to my heart. As the father of a little baby girl who's 2.5, as an uncle to many, many nieces, not many, many, but I have a large family. So as an uncle to
There's never too
uh,
many.
my many nieces, um, and as someone who grew up admiring um, the matriarchs of my family, my mother, my grandmother, I think that giving advice to the next generation is an extremely important responsibility that we all have. And so I'll ask the both of you, and Angelica, maybe I'll start with you, is what message would you like to send to young Latin women who are entering the workforce, especially in fields like technology and business, but just what advice would you give folks in general? Would you give them in general, excuse me?
Well, I think I'm going to start with what I already said. That is that the first thing I believe is crucial is to cultivate the self knowledge, to really understand what make each of us unique, and then be, extrapolate that to the opportunities that we will have. So I think it's important to cultivate the self knowledge, to understand that there is no rocket science, because when in some occasions we talk about technology, it looks like something very difficult, but the reality is that it's not rocket science. It's just to understand how I can contribute on a team, how I can help to be part of a solution, and try to have this curiosity, that I think that it's something that is important as well, in order to try to see, okay, I know what are my strengths, I know how I can add value to this team, and based on that, try to follow their path. So I think that it's important to understand that as a woman, we have a lot of opportunities. In some occasions, we think that is different. By my personal and genuine opinion, is that we have a lot of strengths that I already mentioned during this conversation, like the emotional intelligence, the empathy, how we connect with the others, and we can take advantage of all those resources to really achieve all the goals that we have. So that's my key message, like to really have this self knowledge, to understand our strengths, and then be brave and try to show the world all the potential that I'm sure each little kid and child and woman have to offer the world.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much, Angelica, for the stage advice. So, Laura, I'll turn it over to you with the
I was
same
taking
question.
notes. I was taking notes. No, I really, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. There's something I think you mentioned, and I'm gonna repeat it, not only for the younger generation entering the workforce, but for any Latin woman out there, never lose your inner child. I think as an inner child, we're curious, happy, we're connecting, we are investigating. So never lose that. Keep always asking questions, keep learning. Sometimes you think that after college you stop learning. No, it's that you're gonna keep learning your whole life, or you should at least. Perhaps not exactly the same. It's okay to pivot. It's okay not to have that linear path that you thought. So my advice is never lose your inner child. Be kind to yourself. Be your best friend. Having said that, be strategic. Build your network. Be part of a community. Be authentic. Look for mentors and find something that you really like, but you're also good at. So find a way. When I say strategic, we might be very good at something. Maybe you don't like it. Our professional careers are very long. It's a long marathon, and it's okay to pivot. If you find a mixture between something that you really like, that you're passionate about, that you can also contribute professionally, I think you hit a spot of success that will complement your personal life and make you hopefully successful and happy in what you deserve.
I love that so much.
Amazing.
Angelica, Laura, thank you for joining us for this incredible discussion. I've been honored to partake in it and to learn so much today. Um, Thank you again. I wish everyone a happy Hispanic Heritage Month, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Cesar, for the opportunity. Thank you, Angelica.
Thank you. It was
Everyone,
a
bye.
pleasure.
Thanks,
And bye,
everyone.
Bye.
everyone.